The Open is in full swing. Celtic have just returned from a warm weather pre-season training camp in the Algarve, and Rangers are days away from a huge Champions League tie against Panathinaikos. Members of the Record Sport team have been spread about from Portugal to Portrush. But for us, it's a case of Hameldamy as the rain bounces off the streets outside Record Sport HQ. Welcome to all our regular viewers and listeners. I'm Gavin Berry, and I'm delighted to be joined this week by Fraser Wilson, making your debut on Game On. Fraser, what have we done wrong? Why are these guys going to Portugal? And
they might not be back. That was flawless. Great intro there, Gav.
Exactly.
Don't
Well,
know
listen,
what you were worried about.
Mike, I've got a lot to live up to, Fraser, because Michael Gannon, I'm convinced he stays up all night, the previous night, thinking these things up, because they're absolute genius.
Man's a natural.
So it was big shoes to fill. I don't think I quite delivered, but listen, it wasn't bad, was it? For a first attempt.
Solid 7 out of 10.
First attempt. You've got huge shoes to fill, Fraser, because normally I'm sitting there and Michael's here. So,
Shoes?
But, no. But anyway, how are you?
Decent. Yourself?
Very good, thanks. So basically, Fraser, the format, as I'm sure you'll be aware, is it's rapid. You know, we just race through the topics, all the big talking points in the world of sport, not just football. So have you brushed up in your tennis and your boxing? And
I believe I don't need to.
is that right?
We'll soon find out. Is there a scoring system here? Do we have a winner at the end?
No, we don't. We just have a clock, and we've got 2 minutes to race through a host of topics, and we'll get your words of wisdom on each of them. But I mentioned Celtic earlier, Fraser, with Michael Gannon, as I said, and Ryan McDonald, who were over with Brendan Rodgers and his squad. Not all right for some. And he spoke to Adam Idah. He was one of the players that was put up to speak, talking about his chances next season and how he can be the main striker for Celtic, or he certainly wants to be the chance. He was very bullish in what he said. What do you think about Adam Idah? A lot of money spent last summer. He was obviously did very well during his initial loan spell. I mean, do you think he can be the main man for Celtic?
Confident lad, carries himself well. I think he said he can be the 30-goal striker. I mean, that's putting the pressure on yourself. But look, I like that. That's bullishness.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now he's the one established striker at the club. I think by August 31st he won't be.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brendan Rodgers will go hell for leather to bring in, and Celtic will go hell for leather to bring in another striker. Now, the thing with Adam Idah is I don't think he was at top gear last season. I think everyone will agree with that, and he still came up with 20 goals, which isn't to be sniffed at. He has to improve in his performances last season. I think it's best between the posts. I think if you look at his 2 goals against Aston Villa, which was at the top level, that's where he's at his best. I think the game after that, he came back and did the exact same against Motherwell as well. So he seemed to be a streaky striker. If he can get himself in the box, in the positions to bury teams where he does the damage, I think he can improve next season, but he needs to be a better striker. I only think the thing with Brendan Rodgers, I think going back to the likes of Odds and Edward and before him, Mr Dembele, I think he likes strikers that have a bit more lively in the box.
Yeah, well, he actually said that, Brendan Rodgers, didn't he, after the game?
That I missed that. If that's what he said,
he said he needs to come alive in the box. That was his exact words. Well, because this was the thing about Adam Idah, and fans. You know, we know what fans are like. They're so quick to make judgments. During his loan spell, he scores the winner in the cup final, and listen, without his goals, they might not have even won the league that season. They were so crucial, and it was like sign him. They sign him. You know, they pay a lot of money for him, and then it's like, oh, the guy's not worth the money. You know, but. And the other thing I was going to say, Fraser, was Celtic have been linked with Romanian striker Louis Munteanu from Cluj.
Yes.
There was reports in Romania saying that Celtic actually had a bid rejected.
Yeah.
We've not that confirmed yet, for 7 million. But let's just say, for example, they do want him in a bid rejected for 7 million. Adam Idah's costing nearly 9 million. That is the problem, isn't it? It's the fee is the issue for a backup striker.
Brendan Rodgers wants 2 quality players in every position.
Yeah.
All right. Adam Idah will offer something different, I believe, to whatever other striker they bring in. Room there for him, but it's on him now. He's got a shot at the moment. He needs to go and hit the ground running, I believe.
Yeah, because you spoke about his number of goals, you know, that he scored, and we see it at the other. Sorry, Fraser, that's it, and that's how harsh this is, Fraser. You just need to move right. Once we'll move across the other side of the city, we talk about Adam Idah getting criticism. A couple of players who have not set their head on fire during their time at Rangers, Danilo and Kieran Dowell. But they seem to have impressed during pre-season. Well, they have impressed during pre-season. Can they play a key role? I mean, this Champions League game against Panathinaikos is coming rapid.
Aye, they might have to, Gavin. I mean,
Do you think?
They might have to. It's not as if I can't imagine another striker coming in the next few days before that first leg. The thing with Danilo is, I think there's always been a good player there.
Yes.
I think he's a very intelligent striker. I've liked what I've seen with him when he's played. The problem is, it's old Alex Ferguson saying, isn't it? Sign players that turn up for the work, and far too often over the last 2 years, he's not been available to work.
Yeah.
But when he has played, I actually think he looks a better option at number 9 than even Cyril Dessers.
Yeah.
I think he brings more to the game. If he can stay fit, and through reading what Andy Newport's been writing for the time in London and that, he's been working overtime to get to the top level. He probably deserves a break in terms of his fitness. I think he's got one last chance probably in the Rangers shirt this season.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think fans will be less surprised with Danilo doing well during, in these pre-season games, because there's no doubt there is a player, there's quality there. I think there's just, he has been unlucky with the injury. I think there'll be question marks as well over, how his mental state after coming back from that. Does it play in his mind? Obviously, it was a serious injury. Kieran Dowell, when Russell Martin was talking about Kieran Dowell when part of his leadership group, I think fans probably gulped. I mean, that was one where you thought, where did that come? You just assumed, him and Ben Davies on loan at Birmingham last season.
That's the last of them, eh?
You just thought, well, that's it. I mean, it's almost just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Neat and tidy player, Kieran Dowell. He was another one that got injured. He started fairly well under Michael Beale. Neat and tidy, but not a player that you look at and think he's going to stamp his authority all over a game, is he? He's not going to go and take a game by the scruff of the neck.
I thought it's symptomatic everyone Rangers were last season.
Yeah.
At best, bang average. Not at the level that's going to take them up to close the gap in Celtic.
But Russell Martin must see something, because he is not daft. He must know that there are fans who are looking at a group of players and they're just seeing them, associate them with failure. I mean, guys, if you're talking about someone like Tavernier and they're saying, look, if he sticks by him and he's loyal to the captain, then what is Russell Martin to gain by sticking? The easy thing would be to say off you go, because he knows the fans have got it, and so it's a dangerous game, but he must see something.
Season day in, day out, we don't.
Yep.
I'd be amazed if Kieran Dowell played more than 10 games for Rangers next season. Amazed.
There you go. Now, Fraser, let's go over across the M8 to the capital. Hearts are as short as 16-1. I couldn't believe it when I saw the odds. 16-1 to win the Scottish Premiership. Can Denil McInnes end a 40-year Glasgow stranglehold?
He's well chucking your money down a drain. Come on. He's a very good manager, but he's not a miracle worker. If we learn one thing...
Is it a miracle?
Oh, come on.
Given the Tony Bloom, cash and
and not just... Heard it all before,
sorry.
Especially for the Hearts, Andrew McKinley.
Do you know that's what I was going to say, Fraser? Funnily enough, when I was looking at the odds and I was thinking about it, I thought, last year on the opening day of the season, Hearts did well to play against which turned out to be a very, very average Rangers team to get a 0-0 draw. And after it, Jan Danda said that they could. This was after day one. Exactly, they were fighting relegation.
So I go at Hearts. I fancy Hearts to finish third. All right, what a brilliant appointment, Denil McInnes. No before time. He should have been at Tynecastle long before now. If we learnt one thing for Aberdeen's steam train of a start last season,
not just but actually. Yes, you're
nobody
right.
is of a calibre yet to even get near a bang average Rangers last season.
No.
Hearts are a good few years away from getting to that level. Look, I wouldn't rule him out for winning a cup. That'd be a fantastic season, and he will absolutely definitely take Hearts back into Europe.
When was the last time? When was the last time? The last time the Old Firm were probably split was maybe under George. It was. That start that George Burley made. Now they might have done it that season.
Aberdeen split them, I think, Rangers' first season back up.
So they did. Sorry, you're right. They did.
Yes. Aberdeen.
That's right. But if you think back to actually, probably that season that you mentioned, that's probably the closest to, in fairly recent years. Aberdeen had a chance when Ronnie Dyle under Celtic. Remember, they beat Celtic a midweek in
I think in January they were top of the league with them.
Yeah,
Aberdeen,
that's right. They were close, but it's that sustaining it, isn't it? It's the sustaining into sustaining.
That Celtic team were there for the taking.
They were.
Right now, look, Hearts. If Hearts can get third into a cup final and maybe win a cup, that is a fantastic season, and I wouldn't put that by Derek McInnes' Hearts. They've made good signings this summer.
Yeah, we've seen other steam train starts. You talk spoke about Aberdeen last season. I think Hearts under Robbie Nielsen as well, and Hearts again under Craig Levein. I think around about even right up until October time.
Not being in Europe will be a big factor for them as well. That'll help.
Of course, crucial. One team that are in Europe are their rivals Hibs.
Provided a link on a plate for you. You link sausage.
You've thrown me off track here now. Hibs in Europe, Midtjylland, Danish side this season, this week, coming up, tough test. And going by the comments from their manager, they think that they've basically dismissed Hibs, haven't they? Is that going to come back and bite them? Is it?
Let's hope so.
Is it dressing room wall stuff here?
Absolutely, aye. Oh, I'm sure David Gray will be using that somewhere.
Did you read the manager's name? Thomas Berg, yeah?
Yes,
What's he saying about not trusting anyone with two first names? But look, you can set your watch to every year, can't you? When the Scottish teams play are drawn against a team in Europe, you always see the comments coming from
Good
the
on
opposite
Thomas Berg.
Yeah.
And let's hope they are up in that wall.
It's always Scottish teams are very physical, and then they'll write them off. You know, it's always the same stuff, and then they blame the translation. I mean, we wouldn't do that, would we?
I'm sure. Well, not at all. No, I'm sure he said it. I can't even remember what it was. Something like, "Of course they will make it through this."
Of course,
time.
yeah,
Of course
that's right.
Look, David Gray took Hibs. Last time Hibs were in Denmark, they beat Brøndby 1-0 on the night and lost in penalties. David Gray scored the winner that night.
That's right.
That could be an omen. He'll go there full of belief. He'll take that. That's a strong Hibs team. They finished the season extremely strongly, and they've added a couple of quality players. I fancy Hibs. It will be a shock if they get. I fancy Hibs over the two legs to get through this tie.
A draw or even a narrow defeat. You know, they've got to keep the tie alive, but you can't argue with Michelin's pedigree in Europe. They're regulars in Europe. They're regular in Europe. At group stage, I think last season they got to the knockout phase, then they were well beaten in the end by Real Sociedad, but they got to, as I say, the knockout phase, and they're always there or thereabouts. And they played Rangers a few seasons ago, didn't they, as well? They beat Celtic in the Champions League qualifier, again, caught them cold.
Level. Look, one thing I remember, Hibs, this reminds me of when Hibs went to play Luzerne 2 years ago. Luzerne with double the budget Hibs had, as their press officer told us before the game. He was very bullish, and Hibs stuck it to them, got through the tie 5-3, I think, on aggregate, drew 2 all over there. I think it's at a similar level, and this is a much better Hibs team than 2 years ago. I do fancy them. I give them a bit early in the season, as it is for all Scottish teams, but I do fancy them to get through this tie.
And they've just splashed out a $1 million striker. You know, it's good to see the ambition. We spoke about Hearts earlier, you know, and then Hibs, you know, now the teams outside of Glasgow.
They're bringing money in. They've got good money for Dylan Vente, so spend it again.
Yeah. Now, the teams not involved in Europe, Fraser, have started their competitive seasons earlier. Premier Sports Cup up and running, the group stage means teams need to be up to speed, and we've seen a lot of the top flight teams caught cold earlier on. Who do you think of the Premiership teams are most in danger of an early exit?
Motherwell haven't really set their head on fire, but there's only one right now that look in deep trouble. It's Dundee.
I thought you were going to say St Mirren. I was going to say St Mirren. You think Dundee?
They've got points on the board, St Mirren, haven't they?
Yeah.
Dundee haven't. I know they've only played the one game, but that was the start for hell for Stephen Presley, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was really not what he needed. I think we all saw it coming.
Yeah.
So they go to Alloa on Saturday, and I think anything but a convincing victory there. They're in deep trouble. And Stephen Presley, who kind of started in the back foot.
Well, it's hard.
Didn't help himself with the comments.
I know.
Big Stephen Presley, hope he does well, but he didn't help himself with his really honest comments. About if you want somebody with a pedigree of winning trophies, I'm not your man. So I don't know. That was their toughest game at the group stage, Airdrie last week. They didn't impress. They deservedly lost it. And they've got the work cut out now.
I mean, a new Motherwell manager, you mentioned Motherwell. I mean, he needs time. Surely he needs a bit of time, doesn't he? But he scraped past Peterhead. You know, they beat Clyde on penalties. So I mean, it is, and they've got Rangers on the opening day. Yeah. It's a tough early start for him. He doesn't want to be under. Doesn't want to put added pressure onto himself early on.
Then he's got a trip to St Mirren and Hearts after that, I think. So it's a really hard start for Motherwell.
But I mean, Stephen Robinson's one man who's definitely not under pressure, right? Fans are, well, I mean, he's performed miracles in Paisley. Unlucky just to miss out in Europe last season, but I think they could be in the most dangerous. They play Ayr United in the final group game on the Sunday, I think, just before the draw for the knockout takes place. Ayr United looking good, you know, under Scott Brown. that could be
set
set
up
up.
nicely for a
It
right
could
good
be,
game,
that could be a
innit?
cracker.
So
game.
Mirren can build up. Look, they've not impressed in their first 2 games, as Stephen Robinson admitted, but look, I think Stephen Robinson himself is the best signing Hibs have made. St. have made, sorry, this summer. The fact he's still in position there, he'll sort them out. But you're right, that United game to climax that group, that's teed up to be a cracker.
Surprised bigger teams haven't come in for Stephen Robinson? Are you surprised? Yeah.
I am, aye. I fancy them to make the trip across to Edinburgh, maybe to Hibs the last couple of times.
Or even you said Derek McKinnon should have been at Hearts sooner, but you know, are you surprised even Hearts didn't make a move for him?
No, because I thought Derek McKinnon's name
still
was
the better choice.
Job.
Yeah. Okay, from the Premier Sports Cup to the Club World Cup, FIFA President Gianni Infantino said,
jump there, Gavin.
I know, said it was a huge success. Obviously, Chelsea coming out winners, beating PSG in the final. Did you watch much of the tournament? Was it a huge? I think you actually said huge success. But it was a kind of ego-driven money grab, you know, of a competition, and we were all very critical of it at the start. I don't know about yourself. We spoke about it on here. Just as it kicked off, myself and Michael were laughing. I think I'd said I'd picked up a coupon and Bayern Munich were like 1 to 1,000 or something ridiculous to beat Auckland, and how it was a mismatch. But as the tournament, you know, progressed, I think it definitely got better. You could see there was something there, couldn't you? The stands started to fill up. By the end, did you think we were on to something? No?
I've seen too many of these games. Look, if anything summed up, it was the image of Donald Trump going to Terry, wasn't it? Refusing to go off that stage. Come on, Donald.
I know.
What part did you play in this competition?
But remember the farce of the World Cup presentation? Remember we had that? Who was the... What's the chef with the big guy that cuts Salt Bay? Is it Salt Bay or cutting about?
Salt Bay, that was it.
You know, so it's not only. I suppose it's still a FIFA competition.
Was
but
it
you know
a success? Look, if you're a fan of money upon money going to money, then it was a success, wasn't it? I would much rather see that. What are we talking about? Hundreds of millions of pounds here. I'd rather see that go to the grassroots here. I'm not trying to get in my soapbox or anything, but come on. And then there's these players that are being absolutely whipped to. I mean, what kind of break are these guys getting? I did interestingly see that Kasper Schmeichel said in today's paper he wishes Celtic were over there because he just loves playing football. So there's 2 arguments to it. But you've got to have a break. You've got to give these guys at the top level a bit of a break. And do you know what? The fans as well. So no, I wasn't a fan of it. I felt like I've seen all these games before in the kind of Champions League. Not for me.
I actually thought that one of the best things to come out of it was that, you know, we live in this sort of champion. We just think almost football doesn't exist outside of course, certainly club football, outside of UEFA and the Champions League. But I thought the teams from the other continents, giving them a real decent game, was. I think it opened their eyes probably to a standard.
It was fantasy football stuff for me, but money's swirling around. I think it'd be better spent. It's not going to happen.
You're miserable, Fraser. Right, anyway, what about tennis? So Wimbledon.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah. But the winners, controversial winners, maybe that's not fair. But Yannick Sinner and Iga Swiatek both have served suspensions for banned substances. Do you think the winners have affected the image of tennis at all?
Impacted it slightly because we're all talking about it. There's been column inches written about it. Broadcasters have been talking about it, so it's quite rightly been noted. I don't think it deserves to have a lasting impact because both instances you can argue were accidents. You've got to believe when they say that.
See, when you hear
contamination, right? So I don't think it's contaminated the sport. They're talking about contamination. Yeah. What was it with Sinner? It was a spray. It was a spray.
It was an over-the-counter spray on a cup. Yeah. So it was his physio that ended up paying.
A bit of an oversight.
And I think it's important, to say, because I think when athletes are banned, from any sport, you just read that they've been banned and they're cheats and they should. And then you actually go and examine it, and then you realise, and you look at this story. I think we all just think Lance Armstrong.
Exactly.
All right, everybody's a Lance. That's not the case. And then you read the story, the Sinner story, and then you realise, and you think, oh well. I mean, there's no way. I think he would have had to have. I think I read it was 300,000 times the amount that was found in the system for it to have any performance enhancing.
I tend to think even the 3-month ban he got was a wee bit harsh. Although he didn't miss any of the majors. Look,
No.
if anything,
And I think that's the other thing, but we're maybe, fellow athletes or rival players, tennis players are a bit unhappy almost as it's the leniency, maybe just the timing, he didn't miss any majors. And
I think that was deliberate.
Yeah.
Because they know it was that oversight and accident. If anything, hopefully this is a lesson to those that administer these sprays to kind of be a bit more stringent with what they're doing. But if anything, and the same as Swiatek, but if anything, the rivalry, the extreme, the strong friendship between Sinner and Alcaraz, who spoke so well at the end of that final. I mean, Alcaraz clearly had no issues with the situation. I think that says it all.
Yeah.
It was a great tournament.
It was yeah, you're right. It's going to be one of these rivalries. It's just going to run and run.
Aye, the big four.
He's some player, and the way he had obviously lost the French Open.
Yeah,
there's no doubt that was it. And he said, let's move on to Portrush. We've got Craig Swan over there for the Daily Record.
Doing some job, isn't he? He filed about 10 stories before 9 a.m. this morning.
I know. Oh yeah, there's no stopping him. There's no stopping. It was rapid, just like us. But who's your tip, or who's your? I said who's your outside tip, and do you know what? I feel terrible now because I asked you yesterday before we come on, as the first day's play was going on, who's your outside tip, and when I was jotting down my own, I wish I'd picked an easier name to pronounce, but Christian. Bees in doubt, or however you pronounce it. So that's who I'd picked out. And then when we were just about to come on air, I thought, it looks as if I'm just picking him because he's there or thereabouts.
Well, that's what I thought.
But he wasn't. I promise you, he wasn't at the time that I picked him out. You can believe me or not. But listen, Michael Gannon is tip-top winners here in the National. So you're under major pressure.
Oh dear. Oh well.
He's picked. So you tell us.
Well, I don't want anyone rushing down to put a late bet on.
Who's going to be lifting the claret jug on Sunday?
To see Robert McIntyre do it, and
we all would.
And in danger of falling flat on my backside because he's out there right now for round 2. You never know with Robert. Yeah. But look, he's been a wee bit flaky the last couple of weeks, so I don't think Bob. I was going to go for Matt Fitzpatrick, who I think is slowly building momentum in the last few weeks. I thought he did very well at Scottish Open. Did well the last time the Open was at Portrush. I just think he's speaking well. He says he's playing with confidence that he's not had for a few years right now. Got off to a great start on Thursday. There was that slam dunk chip with Fraser off, which was probably one of the shots of the opening day. I have a sneaky feeling this could be Matt Fitzpatrick's year to grab a second major.
Did you check the odds? No. I looked at my man yesterday. He was still 28 to 1, even though he was high. So I ended up sticking a few quid on. Not much. Just for a bit of interest. But he's actually got an incredible backstory. Do you know that he was 2 years old? He drank rat poison, which caused neurological damage. Well, he was 2 years old. He probably had.
It's not done much damage, to be fair.
Well, no. It actually did in his early years. I was reading about him. Great. I say a great story. I say that is a fascinating story. He ended up developing neurological issues because of it, which he developed a stutter. He had to take beta blockers when he was in the amateur game, and they were banned during the amateur game. So he had to overcome all of this. Quite an incredible story. Yeah. But well he's a rising star, so let's look out for him this weekend.
Yeah, well done overcoming that.
And it goes out on X. These clips go out on X, Fraser, so we'll either be made to look like geniuses or very, very stupid. In Michael Gannon's case, he always made to look...
Crawl back into my bunker when those go out then.
Like a genius. Oh. Right, let's round it off. Huge heavyweight fight at Wembley on Saturday. Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois. It's a rematch between the pair. Usyk won first time around. There's a wee bit of controversy there. But can Dubois get the better of him second time around?
It's a big one, isn't it? A tough one. Experts, people that know a lot more about boxing than me, say has come on leaps and bounds since that... first match a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And the controversy surrounded a low blow, which Usyk was allowed to get a 4-minute timeout to recover from it. Dubois and his camp challenged whether it was a low blow. Usyk ended up winning in the 9th. That was a 9th round, I think.
Well, we wouldn't be boxing about controversy.
No, but Usyk is... I mean, he's
Looks unbeatable.
is he 30?
Looks unbeatable.
He's 38.
It's going to take something
but he's
special
38.
to come down, is it not? It's going to take something special.
It is, but he's 38 and since he last fought, Dubois has twice gone the distance with Fury, you know? So a lot more...
Set up to be exactly what it should be. An absolute blockbuster of a heavyweight bout. I just think it's going to take something really special for Dubois to come out and flatten him.
And Usyk just seems to love beating Brits, doesn't he? He's got a great record against... Unbeaten. I
think he'll find a way to win, but Usyk.
I'm actually going to go in the other camp. I've got a sneaky feeling here for Dubois, and it would be some feat because he would be the only second Brit to be the undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis. Almost
incredible. It'd be some story. He has to absolutely go for it, doesn't he?
Almost 30 years ago.
Just absolutely go for it.
And are you staying up to watch it?
No.
It's not one of these, but it's not one of these ones that's going to be, you need to set your alarm for 2 in the morning and all that anyway, so you don't stay up to 10 o'clock?
I'll check Twitter the next morning to see what happens.
Or read Record online?
That's what I mean. I'll find Record online on Twitter and see what happens.
Brilliant, okay. Fraser, thanks very much for joining us this week.
Nice one, Gavin, very own heavyweight.
How did you... Oh, hey, that's a bit cheeky. Do you think the camera... Is it not just the camera? No, is it not just the camera?
I thought it was going.
But anyway, thank you all for listening or watching this week's episode of Game On. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you like what you hear, why don't you leave us a review or a comment, and we'll all be back next week. And that'll just be a week ahead of the big Premiership kickoff.
Bring it on. Brilliant.
Bring it on. Thank you.